What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We continue here with my 2024 predictions for the upcoming 2024 college football season. The Pittsburgh Panthers are up next. Pittsburgh coming off a very disappointing season last year in 2023, going just 3-9 overall. This is a team that, usually is consistent when it comes to the ACC and definitely one of those consistent programs in the history of college football as well. They went 3-9, had a very big step back for where they were in the last couple years. Maybe I should say 3 years. Obviously 2022 was a pretty solid season. And then, of course, 3 years ago, they were just in the ACC championship. So, Pittsburgh coming off a very disappointing year last year, not even coming close to making it into a bowl game. My thoughts on this team, though, for 2024, I think they have a chance to be a little bit better compared to last year. I think they have a chance to probably still make it to a bowl game. I know a lot of people are saying they're not going to be really overall that good, but this is one of the most consistent teams in the ACC and definitely one of those programs that's very consistent as a team as well in the history of college football, and I think they're going to be really solid on both sides of the football. That's all you can really say about Pitt. So let's go ahead and get to the schedule now here for 2024. This is their schedule. Again, they were 3-9 last year in 2023. So let's go game by game now and give you a record prediction here for the Pittsburgh Panthers for 2024. They will start things off with Kent State here on August 31st. Should be an easy win here for the Panthers. Don't really see them struggling this one. I think they win this one by more than 3 touchdowns. They get an easy win here over Kent State, and they start out 1-0 pretty easily. And the next game will be on the road here at Cincinnati on September 7th. A rematch from, of course, last year. Cincinnati, of course, pulled off a huge upset last season. I'm not really that high on the Bearcats this year, but, this is on the road, so you never know what can happen here in this one. I think Pittsburgh definitely is the better team here, but based off of what happened last year, Cincinnati, I think, will definitely be ready for this one. I wouldn't really say it's based off of last year. I think this will still be a really tough game here for Pittsburgh. It is on the road. I mean, it's not a very tough place to play, but I think Cincinnati will come out really fired up in this one, and it's just week 2 of the season. Teams are not really better by this time. So, and, next week, Pittsburgh is probably looking over ahead of Cincinnati, and they probably are looking ahead to West Virginia the next week. Of course, that's a rivalry game from, the next week and everything. So maybe Pittsburgh overlooks Cincinnati, and they probably have a slip-up here in this one. And, because it's on the road here, if it was at home here for Pittsburgh, I definitely would choose Pittsburgh to win this game. I know it's like one of those revenge games here for the Panthers, but I'm actually going to go with Cincinnati here to pull off the upset. I mean, upsets do happen here all the time. Not saying that Pittsburgh's going to be ranked in the top 25 in the preseason. This is just a small upset. Cincinnati definitely doesn't have like a better roster than Pitt does, but I think they pull off the upset here. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati in that non-conference game. Cincinnati beats Pittsburgh for like the second year in a row. I don't really feel confident with this prediction, but I'm going to go with it anyway. So I got Pittsburgh losing their first game here of the season in week number 2 against Cincinnati. That puts their record now here at 1-1. And then after that, they'll play West Virginia here at home on September 14th. Another revenge game here for Pittsburgh from last year. West Virginia is going to be a pretty good team. They have a lot of production coming back, especially on the offensive side of the football. I think Pittsburgh is going to probably want to run the football in this game. I think both of these teams are going to want to run the football and, maybe like run out the clock here. So this might be a low-scoring game like how it was last year. West Virginia definitely was a very big surprise last season. I've already done my West Virginia video though, and I did choose the Panthers to win this game. I think Pittsburgh comes out pretty fired up. It's obviously a rivalry game. Anything can happen. So I think Pittsburgh gets revenge here on West Virginia. It's a close game. It's a low-scoring game, but I'm going to go with the Panthers here to get the revenge here on the Mountaineers from last year's game. So that puts their record now at 2-1, and then they take care of business against Youngstown State here on September 21st. That puts their record now here at 3-1. They get their first bye week here this season before opening up conference play on the road here at North Carolina on October the 5th. Very tough place to play here to open up conference play if you're a Pittsburgh fan and, definitely like a Pittsburgh, football player and everything like that. I think North Carolina is going to be pretty good this year. Pittsburgh's going to try to want to run the football in this one to keep that explosive North Carolina offense off the field and everything, but I don't think it's going to be really enough. I don't think Pittsburgh can hang around in this one. I think it will be a close game in the first half, but second half, maybe the Tar Heels find a way to pull away. So I'm going to go with North Carolina here to give Pittsburgh their second loss here of the season. So that puts Pittsburgh's record now here at 3-2. Next game will be at home against California on October 12th. I think California is going to be a sneaky good team in the ACC, but, really not on the level of those top teams in the conference or anything like that. They could probably be one of those dark horse contenders in the ACC, but this is a home game here for Pittsburgh. I do expect them to bounce back here after the loss to North Carolina from last week, so I'm going to go with the Panthers here to get a home win here against Cal on October 12th. So that puts their record now here at 4-2. They get their second bye week here, it looks like, before playing Syracuse here on October 24th. It looks like this game is going to be on a Thursday, so they do have time to prepare for this game. I think Syracuse is going to be a pretty good team this year. They do have a really easy schedule, but this is a home game here for Pittsburgh. It's a Thursday night game. We've seen some really good Thursday night games, in the history of the conference and everything in the ACC. I think this game goes back and forth. It goes into the fourth quarter, but, home field advantage, it's a 50-50 game. I think both of these teams are pretty even. Syracuse might be the more experienced team here, but playing at home, that does favor the Panthers here in this one. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh here to get the win, and I think they beat Syracuse here, and that puts their record here at 5-2 now. Next game will be on the road here at SMU on November 2nd. And SMU, a newcomer coming up here in the ACC. Don't know how good this team is going to be. They had a great year last year in their final year as a Group of 5 team, but this is a very tough game. It's a very tough game to call. I've really been back and forth on this game. SMU, I think, is going to be really good. I think they'll be definitely competitive against not like some of the top teams in the conference and anything like that, but I think they'll be right there as a dark horse contender, and they're also potentially be like a preseason top 25 team as well. So this is a tough one to call. I've been really back and forth on this one. It's just like the Syracuse game. It can really go either way. Home field advantage, though, will be the difference here. I'm going to go with the Mustangs here to give Pittsburgh their third loss here of the season. So I got SMU winning that game. And then after that, they'll play Virginia here at home on November 9th. Virginia is a team that looks like it's heading in the right direction as a program. We did see some good play from last year for Virginia, but I don't really expect this team to be all that good, to be honest. I think Pittsburgh clearly is the better team here. I think they do bounce back after the loss to SMU from last week, and maybe they probably have a letdown here. Maybe you never know. Virginia, you got Clemson here the next week after the Virginia game. Maybe Virginia could probably pull off a sneaky upset here, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Pittsburgh gets an easy win here. I think they beat Virginia fairly easily, and that puts their record now here at 6-3. And then they get ready for their big game at home against Clemson here on November 16th. Again, this will be a home game here for the Panthers. Clemson, the offense is what I'm concerned about here for the Tigers. If they can get that offense going like they used to be back in like the Trevor Lawrence days and then also the Deshaun Watson days, Clemson could be a very dangerous team. This is a home game, though, for Pittsburgh. It's kind of one of those upset alert type games right here in the month of November. I was also kind of back and forth on this game when I did my Clemson video, but I already chose Clemson to win this game. Clemson still is the more talented team here. It's kind of hard to go against Clemson here, and sometimes when they're like a really good team in the ACC and everything. I know they've struggled in the last couple years, maybe 3 years perhaps, but I'm going to go with Clemson here to knock off Pittsburgh, even though it's a home game. I think it will be a close game. Maybe by the fourth quarter, though, Clemson probably pulls away in the fourth quarter and finds a way to win it. So I got Pittsburgh losing that game, and that puts their record now here at 6-4. And then after that, they'll play Louisville here on the road on November 23rd. Louisville's going to be a pretty good team this year, and that was only the win. This was the only win that Pittsburgh had last year in the conference. They beat Louisville at home last season in the month of October. This year, they play them in the month of November. And this is a Louisville team that's going to be really fired up for this one. I think, after the Clemson game, Pittsburgh is all beat up here in this one. I don't think they're going to be really ready against the Cardinals here. And I think Louisville's going to beat up Pittsburgh even more. So I think Louisville gets revenge here on the Panthers from last year's game. It's just kind of one of those revenge games here for the Louisville Cardinals. So I got Louisville beating Pittsburgh here fairly easily. And that puts Pittsburgh's record now here at 6-5. And then the final game of the season will be on the road here at Boston College on November 30th. Another pretty tough road game here for Pittsburgh. This is a Boston College team I think you don't want to play here in the month of November. Yes, they do have a first-year head coach. They don't really have a lot of roster talent and everything, but this team probably could be better by the time they get into the month of November. And also, you got back-to-back road games after really tough, back-to-back losses there with Clemson and Louisville. And you're probably beat up from those two games. So maybe they come out really slow in this game. And, Boston College, and Pittsburgh, I think these are two pretty even teams. I kind of been back and forth on this one. It's kind of just like those Syracuse and SMU games. I've really been back and forth on this game, and home field advantage might be the difference here. I'm actually going to go with Boston College here. I think this is probably an upset here as well. Again, Pittsburgh might be the more talented team here, but I'm going to go with Boston College to pull off an upset here with the win here. So I got Pittsburgh losing their final 3 games of the season, and then also their final game here of the season here on the road at Boston College. So I got Pittsburgh finishing 6-6 here for 2024. Definitely a better, more year than last year. Obviously they were 3-9 last season. I think they'll definitely make it to a bowl game. I do expect this team to be right there around 6, 7, 8 wins, somewhere in that range. But what if they go 5-7? That would definitely be another disappointing year for Pittsburgh. I definitely could probably see them winning that Cincinnati game. If they win that game, they can probably go 7-5. But if they lose that game, and they also lose to West Virginia in back-to-back non-conference games, this team probably goes like 5-7. But if they at least win one of those 2 games, they could probably go at least 7-5. So that is my prediction here for Pittsburgh for 2024. Let me guys know what you think about this Pittsburgh team down in the comments below. What do you think their record will be for 2024? Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.